Welcome to another English Solutions of Business and Life video. Today, we will be focusing on the Global Intermediate book, Unit 4, and the vocabulary section. And we will look at a couple of different vocabulary, words, and phrases during this unit. Firstly, we will look at adjective suffixes. What are they, and when we use them? We will also look at expressions with what and what they mean. Also, some words related with crimes. And finally, usual and unusual. Words that are similar and words that describe usual things and unusual things. So, let's begin. Let's begin by looking at adjective suffixes. Adjective suffixes are endings that go after a word and turn it into an adjective. You can turn verbs and nouns into adjectives by adding "ive" or "ive", "ful", and "ous" at the end of the word. It depends very much on the word that you're trying to turn into an adjective. But many nouns and many verbs can be turned into adjectives by adding these suffixes at the end. For example, decision can be turned into an adjective. A decisive person is a person who makes a decision quite easily and follows that decision no matter what. Creation can be turned into creative. A creative person is a person who has no problem thinking about new things. Fame can be turned into famous. A famous person is a person who has a lot of fame, who is very known. Also, success can be turned into successful. A successful person, has very strong success in their life. Power can be turned into powerful. A powerful person also has power. Ambition can be turned into ambitious. An ambitious person has lots of ambitions. And so on and so forth. Well, these are nouns that are turned into adjectives. But you can also turn verbs into adjectives, such as attract. A person who attracts easily is an attractive person. A person who forgets easily is a forgetful person. You will get the hang of these suffixes with usage. But for example, if can be used at the end of a word, and most of the time a noun, or in the case of a noun, when it's added at the end, it would mean that a person or whatever we're describing has no problem with that noun. For example, as we said, decision. A decisive person has no problem making a decision. A creative person can make new things quite easily. And an attractive person has this characteristic. It's a characteristic and not an activity or a verb that this person does. It's just something that this person has. Now, when we're using full at the end of a sentence, you can think about the person or the object that we're describing as being full of this characteristic. For example, a successful person is full of success. A powerful person is full of power. A forgetful person is someone who forgets easily. Someone who can do an activity or a verb easily. And a helpful person is someone who is willing to help other people. Now, finally, OUS, us, famous. This is similar to fall because when you use this, you can use it with characteristics or nouns that describe a characteristic such as fame, ambition, something that has to do with personality. And when you add this suffix at the end, you're describing a person who has that characteristic. So now let's look at some expressions in English that use the word what. As we know, what is used when you want to ask about something, but it can also be used in sentences for different reasons. For example, you can use it to express your disbelief or surprise. When somebody tells you some news that you didn't expect and you're surprised, you can say, "You've what? You're what?" These are some examples that we saw in the unit. They express surprise and disbelief. Also, it can express lack of interest on a certain topic or a certain subject, such as "so what?" And this can be used in a conversation, for example, when somebody gives you an argument and it doesn't really interest you or doesn't have to do with your argument, you can say "so what?" It can also be used to express anger or urgency about something or someone. For example, "or what?" or "now what?" "Or what?" is used to express anger. For example, if you're using a sequence or you're asking something such as "are you ready to go?" or "what?" You're expressing anger or slight urgency. You're expecting an answer really quickly. Also, "now what?" It means you're expecting an information or an instruction to continue your activities. Now, be careful with all of these expressions, pretty much, because all of these expressions must be used in an informal setting. You shouldn't use them in a formal setting with a lot of people or with your boss, for example, because they are normally used in relationships, in close relationships, or with people you trust or you have a close relationship with. Now, let's quickly look at some words that have to do with crime. This is in the vocabulary section, so we're going to focus on it here. Firstly, let's start with being either innocent or guilty or against the law. Being innocent, you might know or you might have heard about these expressions. If you're innocent, it means that you didn't commit any crime and you haven't done anything bad. If you're guilty, it means the opposite. You did commit the crime or you did do something bad. Now, here we have another word, find or plant evidence. Evidence is whichever, it could be physical, like an object, or it could be someone saying something that proves either that you're innocent or you're guilty. Evidence is just objects or sayings, something that can be tangible, that can show the innocence or guilt of someone or something. To find evidence means, well, the word says it, to find it, to being able to look for it. And planting evidence means to put it somewhere where it can be found. It could be fake evidence or it could be real evidence. Now, another word is commit. Commit means to do. So if you commit a crime, it means you did a crime. commit a murder means to do a murder. But we don't use the verb do. We use the verb commit because of the legal context in which these words or these verbs are found. Now, let's look at another part. Uh, you you might know what prison is. Prison is where um, people that were found guilty are sent. Suspects found guilty are sent to prison. They go to prison, and some people have been in prison before. Now, these are the sin how you say, like how you join these words with the verbs. You go to Someone goes to prison, or they are in prison. Commit a crime, commit a murder. Now let's look at another word. Have a motive or have an alibi. These are some legal terms. For example, have a motive means that you have a reason. Someone has a reason to commit a crime. They have a motive. It could be a psychological reason. It could be um, an economical reason. It could be something else. That's what we call a motive. An alibi means is a type of evidence. Have a type of evidence that shows that this person, the suspect, wasn't in the place of the crime. That means to have an alibi. It's a type of evidence that shows that someone is innocent. Now, let's look at another part, another word, another expression. A suspect. A suspect is someone who the police or the law thinks that committed the crime. And suspects can be caught and arrested under the premises that they committed such crime. And pretty much, and it depends on where the country is. Yes, if the suspect is found guilty at the beginning, the suspect might be guilty until the evidence shows that this person wasn't guilty, or they can be innocent until the evidence shows that the person wasn't or was guilty. Now let's look at some usual and unusual words. Well, not the words, but the things that these words describe. I'm going to show you a list of words, a couple of words that describe things, and whether they describe them as usual or unusual. Something that is usual means that you can see it every day. Unusual, well, it means the opposite. You don't see it every day. You might see it not very often in your life. For example, we can have average height, average weight, average looking people in our lives. We might know some average looking people, meaning that they are usual. You see them every day, and they look like other people you see every day. Unusual can be someone that is uncommon. Uncommon can be used to describe something unusual. So the same goes with unique. Unique is another word that describes unusual things. What about odd? Odd would go in unusual things. An odd thing is something that is unusual, something strange. I already said another word. Strange is something unusual. Something strange would be something unusual. Something out of the ordinary. Something you don't see every day. Strange noises, strange stories Funny stories are not necessarily stories that you see every day, but they're just different from other stories, other common stories. Funny stories would be different from other common stories or usual stories. Typical is also another word that we can use to describe things that are usual, everyday things. A typical Sunday morning means that this Sunday morning is the same as every single other Sunday morning or every single other common Sunday morning. There can be some really bizarre Sunday mornings or some really weird Sunday mornings. So, those are the words that we use to describe usual or unusual things. And that's pretty much it for this vocabulary section from Unit 4. Thank you for watching, and I hope you could understand this vocabulary section. If you have any further questions, don't forget to ask your teacher about them. And I hope you can continue studying this vocabulary and these expressions, and this video has helped you. See you in next video. Bye bye.